We apologize in advance of this episode in that we had audio difficulty. We did the best we could to smooth it out, but some of the conversations are going to be uneven. But we do believe you're still going to get value from this conversation and hope you can bear with some of the technical difficulties.
Welcome to Faith-Filled Investing, the podcast where faith and real estate intersect. Join host Owen Cooper as he interviews real estate investors who are also strong believers in Jesus. Get inspired by their stories and discover how they live out their faith in the workplace. Learn practical tips and strategies for successful real estate investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor or exploring alternative ways to grow your wealth, this podcast will motivate, educate, and connect you with like-minded Christians in the real estate industry. Tune in to Faith-Filled Investing and join the movement of faith-driven real estate investors.
Welcome to Faith-Filled Investing. I'm your host, Owen Cooper. This week we'll be hearing from Yessenia Gonzalez to learn about her faith journey, her real estate journey, and how those two have intersected. So, Yessenia, welcome. Thank you for being willing to be here. And I know you and your husband were going to join originally, but we're going to get him. It's going to be a part 2. He's going to be like the sequel. So it'll be like a his and hers story. It'll be fun. So just a little bit, we actually have not connected a lot in the past, but from your description, how would you say that we know each other?
So, hello. Thank you so much, Owen, for welcoming me on your podcast. I'm truly honored to be able to be here. And as you mentioned, yes, I'm looking forward to having my husband join next time. And to answer your question, the way that we know each other is through a multi-family network that we are both a part of. It's an educational network where we have opportunities to connect with leaders in our industry and grow together.
Yeah.
So that's the way we know each other. Blessed to know you.
Yeah, and I reached out to you the first time just to have one like we're doing now on sort of an online connection because I heard you on a podcast and you were very out front with your faith on your podcast, and I said this is a couple that I want to talk to, and because that's very important to me too. So as you know, people I think that are listening to this podcast, so. Let's talk about your faith journey a little bit first. What has that looked like, your journey with Jesus throughout your life?
That's such a wonderful question. And I'm, again, thankful for this opportunity where we get to share about our passion, right? Our foundation is in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got this passion and this work that the Lord has laid out for us and through these opportunities. And so my personal walk with the Lord started when I was a young girl. I went, my mom brought me to a church and I kind of joined the young people's groups. And I went to a summer camp, like a vacation Bible camp. And, and that is where I accepted the Lord as as a teenager. And just, I know the Lord has been walking with me ever since. And I'm grateful for that. And so my husband and I, our mission is our children. We have 2 boys, they're 13 and 11. They're very much a part of everything, right? Of our family life, family businesses, and to raise, God-fearing young men who will be God-fearing leaders someday, in their homes and in their industries. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you, so from high school on, you've kind of Jesus got a hold of your life and have been following after him. At what point did real estate enter into your life?
Shortly after I met Jesus, I also met my husband. We met in high school. So we're high school sweethearts. We recently celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary. And
cool.
so from a very young age, my husband and
Nice.
I um, began to think about what our future would look like. And I remember we would talk about having an empire, someday we wanted to have an empire, and that can look different for everyone.
Hmm.
And so for us, it meant being able to build something where we could help our families and provide like a legacy and generational wealth for our children and beyond. So my husband, right
Hmm.
after we finished high school, my
Yeah.
husband went on to serve in the military. I went on to college to study education and administration. And we still had that idea of the empire and how would we get there someday. And so from very, I would say from the time that we were in our early 20s, we married when we were 20 years old. From our early 20s, we thought real estate would be a good idea because it was something that my father-in-law was always interested in, and he did exercise, in the way that he could, after coming to this country already
Hmm.
as an older gentleman, and English not being his first language. He was able to accomplish so much. And my mother also, when she came to this country a little bit younger, but
Hmm.
she also always had the dream of owning real estate and working it as a business. And so it was just something, I guess, that both my husband and I kind of heard around us, but didn't get to
Hmm.
experience, in terms of it as a business. So we both kind of had that desire. So my husband, he's very ambitious. um,
Yeah.
he, in addition to, he was in the military, and then when he got out of the military, he was an EMT, then he was a physician assistant, and he's now an ER doctor. So he kind of worked his way up little by little. And throughout those different chapters, he just kept mentioning the real estate. And so while we were in, our children were very young, and um, he wanted to find ways for us to start creating, like, he was very motivated by the fact that we had that the boys were young, and he wanted to start building that generational wealth. So he was really, I would say, and wanted to just network with people who
Hmm.
were already in that space. So that's what he did. He started networking,
Hmm.
and then got me kind of plugged in to that world, because I had more time at that time, where he was, working full time and doing medical school and all of that. I was kind of like the face of the family in the real estate world. So he encouraged me, to pursue real estate, while I was also building our educational services business. And
Hmm.
so we started out with one flip and then another flip, and we experienced some success. And so I decided, we have had that desire to help others. So we thought, well, what else can we do with? So I got my real estate license in the state of Florida. I started being family members and friends and just people within, within our church community and stuff, with that, just, renting and buying properties. Um, and then, you know our plans, we started, setting out these plans of, like, okay, we've done the flips, and they're great, but they're not necessarily what we want to continue to pursue. So maybe we want to, buy single family homes and build an empire through single family homes. But of course, my husband, as he's very ambitious, I mentioned, he was like, there's got to be a way to do this faster. And so he started, educating himself, and through podcasts and through books and things, and he came across the network that you and I are a part of, right, the Warrior Network, and started listening to the mentor, the main mentor, of the program. He came across his podcast and started sharing that with me. And I remember I was reluctant. I
Hmm.
was like, something else, okay. All right, well, let's check this out. And so listened, joined the program, and it's been a wonderful decision. I think, since then, we have pivoted into multifamily in the last 4 years, and that has been a roller coaster, with highs and lows, but definitely the highs. Um, you know, outshine the lows. And again, because we
Mm.
do have that long-term vision, and we still have that desire for that empire, right? And that kind of shifts every year when we look at it. What does an empire mean to us? It's going to mean something different to everyone else, to each family, I guess. But to us, we feel that real estate really is, and multifamily real estate really is that
Mm.
vehicle that the Lord has allowed us
Mm.
to kind of get,
Yeah. Yeah.
continue us on our way to build that empire. So long answer, but
Yeah. So, hey, that's what podcasts are for, right? So, this is the as you shared something, I just noticed sort of a theme maybe that I want to explore a little bit, because you talked about both your I think it was your father-in-law and your mother both had these sort of visions and ideas of real estate, and you sort of taken it to the next level of
now
opportunity.
it's really special. My mom is a teacher, and I'm humbled that we've been able to provide her the opportunity to
Hmm.
invest in
Yeah.
our deals. And so, it's something that came later in her life,
Yeah.
and she's so proud of it, and she's so thankful to be able to
Mm.
invest as an LP, as a limited partner in the syndication deals that my husband and I have been general partners
Yeah.
on. So that's been a true blessing. And then my
Great.
father-in-law,
Yeah.
he, the first step was to own, right, property in the United
Yeah.
States, and he achieved that. And then he maximized that property,
Yeah.
that it was a single family home,
Yeah.
and he ended up turning it into 3 living units. So he rented out 2 units on the property. Yeah, he was very
Hmm.
creative,
Hmm.
and very innovative. And
Mm.
then he even had a piece of the land where, and this is not a huge property, but he was so creative. He even had a piece of the land that he did, like he crops,
Really?
and he did farming
Okay.
on it. So
Yeah.
I mean, he maximized that property. And so,
Yeah.
my husband was so inspired by that. And he felt had this responsibility to just keep moving forward with what his father had set for him.
Oh, that's so cool. So the reason I'm kind of hitting on this a little bit, first of all, I'm always thinking about, the podcast audience. There's some variety there, but there are some
Yeah,
people who maybe have like later in life or haven't got started as quickly, or maybe haven't gotten
I
to
like
where
that
they want
also.
to,
Yeah, what a
as
blessing.
they've
Yeah,
had this idea and this dream, and to know that in your mom's case, right? Sometimes it comes later, and God can still use it, and has a way. My mentor says God has a way of making up time. I really like that. He can make up time for that. But the other, yeah, the other thing that I'm hearing though is that even though your father-in-law and your mother, maybe they had these ideas and wanted to get a certain point, and they got as far as they could, but they shared that vision and
that's
that
right.
that passion, that idea
Yeah,
with the next generation, which is you and your husband. And so now you guys have been able to take it to the next level and go beyond that. And if they hadn't put those seeds within you, even a generation back, you probably wouldn't be gotten as far as you have even now. So that's kind of a cool thing to think about.
just
What
been
you're giving
obedient,
them.
one year at a time, one year at a time, right? Um, and through the homeschooling, the boys have been able to be, again, a very active
Great.
and very critical part of our family business. And so they're part, we goals
Mm,
together. We created, like, our, even the family business name, it's
yeah, it's
Frontline
great.
Investment
Great. Yep.
Partners, because we have a heart for frontliners, educators, medical professionals, firefighters, police officers, and all. We provide investing opportunities for everyone, of course, but we do have that special heart for those
Yeah.
frontliners. And so I think the boys, they're seeing that. And I see those seeds have been planted in them, and they look for ways, to serve those
Mm,
frontliners. So that's one. And then for now, right? And they're very active with us in terms of even taking care of the properties, physically. They clean
mm,
properties, they collect quarters, they count up the quarters, and they have assignments in
yeah.
terms of, reading certain literature and text that we have for them, that's specific to mindset and
Yeah.
business. and finances. Um, and so the hope is that they would, whatever they decide to do, right, that
Mm.
these habits that we're
Yeah.
instilling now will help them to be successful in the future, whatever they choose to do, whether it is to continue this family business or to pursue other
Mm.
interests, or both, which we've told them, that's possible as well. You can continue this family business and while also pursuing, another career, and there are ways of doing that. We discussed that, and all of it while, serving God and serving others, loving God and loving others. I think that's the ultimate goal, right? That they glory to God through whatever it is that they do.
So
And
what are some of those books that you
yes,
would
and that,
recommend?
just in terms of the mindset, the rich dad, poor dad, right? Um, and then, so what we're reading now
Yeah.
is The Power of One More,
Hmm.
by Ed Milet. Ed Milet,
Yeah.
yes, and he's also a believer, actually. Yes, yes, and never split the difference. So that's our list for right now. Yeah.
Hi, Owen Cooper here with Rock Solid Investments. Sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation that's going on, but I did want to mention that if you are interested in investing with my company, or even just curious about it, please go to my website, rocksolidinvestments.com, ROC solidinvestments.com. You can sign up for newsletters, you can book a time to talk with me, and we can talk more about what that investing journey would look like for you. So glad you're part of this podcast. And now let's get back to the conversation.
um, Property management needs, that come up, and property management maintenance. That's, the regular, maintenance that you have to keep up with, and also like leases and renewals, and all of that, all of the marketing that goes into that. And then we have completed two syndications. Um, and actually, we've been
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
fortunate that we've partnered with our coach, from the program on both of those as GPs, and we're under contract actually for something else here in South Florida. We've also done a couple of JVs with members of the network that I mentioned, and so the the JV deals were really interesting because, um, for those deals, we were willing to partner with, professionals
Mm.
who were active in their markets. So it didn't have to be in our market here in South Florida where we would self manage, but we did want to make sure that one
Oh,
of our
great.
partners would be active, would be a boots on the ground in the JV deals. Um, and that has certainly been the case. Um, and that I believe that makes a big difference, even in just getting vendor with you, when you're local. There's just something when you have someone who's local on the team. There's just something about, um, being able to be there, and someone be there, right, and represent for the team.
Mm.
So yeah, so lots of asset management asset management calls.
Yeah.
Some of those properties still require weekly asset management calls. Some of them are monthly at this point because we have stabilized them, and so we stay on top of things. um, then we also have, a couple of Airbnb properties that, and we're expanding. That's in the Southwest
Yes.
Florida area, and we manage those as well. We're self managing those as well. We are considering, having
Hmm.
a property manager,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
assigned to those if we purchase, if we get to
Hmm.
the next level of properties, which is, so right now we have three. So if we have three more, then we will bring someone on, by that point. Yeah, to help us with the management. He is, and that's why he couldn't be here today, because he had to pick up a shift. So in the ER never sleeps, just like real estate, right? Real estate never sleeps. ER never sleeps. He had to take, on a shift today. It was just within the last few days.
Okay.
So yeah, hence
Wow.
he wasn't able to attend.
Wow. So that's a lot.
And time
Yeah.
management, which I've learned from people within our network, who were much further along and had success
Yeah, right,
managing
right.
multiple projects at a time. Um, yeah, lots of time management.
Yeah.
Very good question as well. So in the when we first started out in this space, we knew that we wanted to partner with people who were much more experienced than we were, because we were lacking the experience of the
Yeah,
multifamily.
yeah.
That was um, a big component for us in terms of our criteria, that we wanted a really experienced and successful partner to be there, to be the one heading up
Mm-hmm.
the asset management. So that was one way, and being a part of this network that we're a part of, both of us, it made it easier because we I mean, I think you and I can share this sentiment that I think the people who are a part of the program, for the most part, they've already been I guess filtered or screened, and they've demonstrated a certain level of dedication and commitment to this industry, the learning and growing process. So that already made it better. So we knew we wanted to partner with people within the network, and then people who had already experienced success um, in multifamily. And we knew, so at first we wanted to join. First, we wanted to invest in a deal as limited partners so that we could kind of watch this an experienced team manage education. Then we did it kind of like one step at a time. And then we wanted to join a team as JV partners, joint venture, and like in a joint venture deal, so that we could
Right, right.
learn all of the active roles and actively participate, and then go into a syndication as general partners.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, lots of asset management. Yes, and that's so interesting that you bring that up, because we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with, in real estate, just like in any field, there's obstacles will come up, and no deal looks exactly the same as the other. So when you think you've learned everything on one deal and you're ready for the next one and you're going to do everything exactly the same, it's
Yeah,
totally different, and a
yeah,
whole new
yeah.
set of
Yeah, that's
obstacles
really good.
will have to be
Okay, let's
handled.
again
And so in life, yes. Um, but there's only so much that we can do on our own, where we really need the Lord to, I've learned I need to allow the Lord to lead me, and not just jump the gun into things, and not just jump and say yes or no, but really step back, think about it, take time to pray about it, to speak to my husband about things, and not make rash decisions. And so with one of our current deals, we've had just different obstacles and hurdles than we've had with others. And so, like, asking the Lord, I mean, this is really, really fresh. Just for justice. I was asking the Lord for justice. I felt this sense of
yes,
like,
yeah.
oh
Life.
Lord, we need justice. And finally,
Yeah.
I realized, and I was focusing on two negative aspects within this deal. And I was so hyper focused on those
Mm.
two negative things that the Lord really brought to my heart just today all of the mercies that he has already allowed, that I've been praying for, and I haven't been giving thanks for, because I was so focused on these two negative aspects. So today I really, was taken aback and said, "Oh, Lord, I'm sorry. I'm seeing the mercies that you've already provided, and you've already been so
Mm.
faithful. So I'm just going to continue to trust that you'll be faithful. I'm doing my part, and I know that you're doing your part as well." And this whole time,
Mm. Mm.
Lord, where are you? And I'm
That's a
here,
beautiful picture. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I think that's again a message that I think someone probably needs to hear as they when they listen to this, and that will be a reminder, a gentle exhortation to remember to be thankful and recognize all that God has done, even as we're again problem solving.
That they definitely, being a Christ follower does impact the way that we make decisions that are related to all of our businesses, life, of course, and just to the way that we're going to respond in situations, and are we going to cut that corner? I think that's been the biggest one for me.
That's good. So these are, I really believe every time someone listens to this podcast, they're going to get great little nuggets. You've already given a number of them, and so I just like to kind of highlight them so people are, in case you miss it, like, hey, pay attention to this, write this down. Those are some great
All right.
suggestions
So
along the
I
way. Story, but
appraisal
if you
everything.
can, I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear because I think something
Yeah.
came to mind where you said, hey, we're not going to cut this corner, and it created another hurdle that you had to overcome. Is that a story that you can share with us?
I can share some of it because it is, yeah, I can share some of it. So just had the
Yeah.
opportunity to have a business or a building appear as having more units than it did, even though those
Yeah.
units
Yeah.
were not permitted. We're in the story. We're through that
Okay.
story. Yeah. So, but I'm sure I'll have a praise to report. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that affects the bottom dollar, the net operating income,
Yeah.
the yeah, and so the loan, everything hinges on that.
To the growth. And so we didn't, and that was a blessing. Not every situation turns out that way. But again, the Lord was faithful there where um, we were faithful and did what we had to do in terms of getting extra inspections, getting extra
Mm,
work done on the property that
right.
was not originally included, right, in a budget. But by
Mm,
doing things the right way, in a way that's honoring God, that we're always looking out for the best for our tenants and also for our investors. And I think that's the way that we look at it. So we want to honor the Lord. And so practically, how does that look?
mm,
The way that we see it is we want to offer a great product for our tenants, and we also want to offer an excellent opportunity for investors. We want everyone to win. So if everyone's winning, we're serving others. We're serving the Lord.
that's really good. That makes me think of in my business, part of
Right.
my mission talks about having an abundant life for everyone involved. So tenants, co-workers, investors, like all the above, and abundant life, which I've heard you say. To me, I define it in three ways. So spiritually, relationally, and financially. What would you
That
say to
actually
them?
matches up with so and so, and he connected us with this gentleman. Our principles and values aligned very well, our goals aligned very well. He had everything that we were
Mm,
seeking in terms of the criteria, and it was really an answer to prayer. Um, so yes, get educated and get networking. Own that new identity. I'm gonna say that truly it's because of the dream that we wanted to fulfill for our parents, honestly. Yeah. And then
mm,
we have that desire just to help others. And even in addition to all of the real estate and the syndications and the other things that we've done, I would say
mm,
some of the best partnerships that we've built through this network that we're a part of, like the one that I'm most proud of, I would say we started a nonprofit foundation. Mind in my heart, but I it was something that I could really do. And just the Lord surrounded me with the right people. And I
mm.
shared this thought, and
Wow,
I've always
that's
had this idea as well. And okay, so let's do it. So fearless. And I was like, okay, yeah, what it's just like real estate. Let's get educated on it, and let's work with people, and let's make this happen. You know, so it has allowed you had mentioned the freedoms, right? And
yeah,
there's the spiritual freedom, the relational freedom, the financial freedom. So my husband and I, in addition to those, because it's
yeah.
very similar, we share those same desires, right? We've also
Wow,
talked a lot
wow.
about geographic freedom.
But what about for you and your family? What kind of difference has real estate made in your life?
um Definitely.
Hmm.
We enjoy investing, actively and passively. I think ultimately we would love for
Wow.
everything to become passive, but we're not there yet. Even in terms of our service,
Yeah.
like we're not even mentally prepared to just have all of that be passive for us yet, because we still feel like
Yeah.
we're still learning and we still have a lot to give actively in the real estate field. So in multifamily, right,
What are some of your
addresses
favorite
everything that
investing
has to be fixed
strategies?
there. So that would be like a midterm level kind of a housing solution. And so that's something else that we've tapped into and um, have found that's another way to serve others. So much so that we've we've reached out to other people
Mm-hmm.
in other investors where our houses are booked, so we've had to get homes from other people who we know, and and it
Yeah.
still blesses us and still blesses the family and blesses the other homeowners. So that's been a really interesting new strategy that we've added into
Mm.
our interest, our real estate interesting strategy. So we really started looking on social media because that's where we heard about it, you know social media, and there are some experienced folks on
Yeah.
there through social media. And then where we have found a lot of success is through LinkedIn.
Mm.
So connecting with people, just reaching out to people. We had one of our assistants just get online on through our LinkedIn and like filter relocation specialists and write to, like, I don't even know, hundreds of them. And we just got a few responses back, but we've been able to work with those few responses consistently.
Yeah. So that goes back to your prior advice of network, education and network, right? Just networking and getting out there. That's really cool. Well, this has been a great conversation. I always like to you. There's so many facets of your life. We're talking about faith and real estate, but I know that you have a lot of things. So just share something that's exciting or interesting, just in your general life, that's happened recently.
Started chatting is that my husband and I recently celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary. That was really
Okay.
special. We took a trip together, the two of us. We went to Spain. It was the first time we ever went to Spain. Um, and we really got to disconnect. And again, we experienced
Okay.
that geographic freedom.
That out, and I know many people will be blessed by hearing what you've had to share today. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm humbled and honored. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us with another episode of Faith Filled Investing.